In 2012, my best friend and I started a music group that would see us travel the world doing shows, hit millions of streams on songs, meet some of the biggest artists in the world. And I wanted to share that journey with you today in the hopes that it inspires at least one of you to go and achieve your dreams of being a full-time music producer with the 3 lessons learned from my journey. Dylan and I met in school, quickly became best friends, and in our final year of school, we started learning music production on the door that everyone first learns music production. FL Studio. Honestly, making the worst beats you've ever heard. Skip forward a couple years to 2012 and we decided to take everything that we'd learned and start a music project called Culture Code. We were ready to show the world our music. So we put out our first dubstep song. It's called Into the Dark, and you'll never guess what happened next. It sucked. It was our first song, and that's okay. I encourage artists to put out their first song sooner, because on the other side of that release is all the stuff that you don't know. But we'll get to that. We quickly learned that the harder style of dubstep was not our thing. And this is when we came across another EDM duo, Adventure Club. Now these guys made dubstep, but it wasn't hard dubstep, it was melodic. It had arps, saw stacks, vocal chops, and we were hooked. So we thought we'd try our hand at that. We found a remix contest online for a song called Leave the Lights On, and we created a melodic dubstep remix and entered the competition. We dropped the remix, but so did a lot of other people. Like, how do we get ours heard? This was when Facebook was at its peak, so we went to Facebook, messaged everyone that we knew, including family members, hey, could you vote for our remix? But it didn't stop at Facebook messages. We started messaging YouTube channels, asking them if they could upload our remix and put the vote link in the description, and our remix started to gain traction. We went on to win the competition, and that song now has over 2 million streams on YouTube. Our second song, and this wouldn't have worked out if we didn't desperately try and get our remix heard. It would just be another song that got lost in all the noise. Now, we didn't know this at the time, but we had just learned our first lesson, networking. From there, we released another few remixes, entered a few more competitions. I believe we won about another 4 or 5 competitions, following the exact same strategy as the first one, except now the people we were messaging were no longer complete strangers. We had started to develop professional relationships with these people, the likes of NCS, Proximity, Mr. Suicide Sheep. And as for artists, we started to get to know Adventure Club because they heard one of these remixes and started playing it live in their shows. And after networking with Adventure Club, who do you think opened for them when they came to the UK? Networking is one of the biggest things you can do as an artist for your career. Don't get me wrong though, it wasn't all highs. Our music was primarily US demographic. And being in the UK, obviously we didn't get much gig work. Then in 2013, Dylan left the group to pursue his job. And then in 2014, my daughter was born, which definitely slowed down things music-wise. And I had to work a full-time job, which obviously meant less time for music. And at this point, this is where the next lesson kicked in, mindset. So I've always had this kind of arrogance in a good way, that I'm gonna make it. No plan B. But the quote I've always lived by is you can't fail if you don't quit. And here's another little bit of motivation for you. David Guetta was 31 when he started making music. He was 44 when Titanium came out, and he's still out there killing it today. I turned 31 this year, so obviously this hit home for me. Made me feel good, so I wanted to share it. So a great mindset, in my opinion, is one of the most important things you can have as an artist that wants to make it. I can, given enough time, teach any of you to produce music at a high quality. It's just how long are you willing to wait for it all to work out? I waited 5 years. In 2017, I quit my job to pursue music full time. And this was all made possible by a song that I made with Cara called Make Me Move, which we released on NCS. But let me just rewind back for a sec because this is important to the story. In 2016, my mum sent me a link for a competition for probably the UK's biggest radio station called Capital FM. You had to send in a song and the winner would get to go to the Capital FM headquarters and record a 30-minute DJ set. My track Never Let Go ended up winning. It got played on national radio, which was cool as hell. I went to Capital, recorded the set, and they surprised me with 2 bonuses for me winning. The first was an official music video for an unreleased song. I submitted Make Me Move, so if you want to see the official video for that, it's on YouTube. Then we had to find a label because we were filming a music video for a song that didn't have a release date or a release scheduled. I've always had a relationship with NCS, right? So I messaged Dan, who runs things over there, sent him the song, and he immediately replied with yes. And the rest was history. The song's gone on to do 180 million streams across all platforms and ultimately allowed me to live off my music for the first time ever. And by the way, this ties into the networking thing because I messaged Cara asking if she would vocal one of my other songs, and she was like, sure, but in the meantime, do you want to check out this track that I've got out called Make Me Move. See if you want to make something with it. And the second bonus from the Capital FM competition was that they asked me to perform at 3 of their upcoming Halloween shows. Turns out these were some pretty big shows, with the Chainsmokers headlining one of them, which of course I met them that night. We exchanged emails, we emailed back and forth for a couple years, which eventually turned into an official remix for their song called Who Do You Love? 1, 2, 3! Which again comes back to lesson 1, networking. But it was my mum that taught me the third lesson, and that's put yourself out there. This is different to networking because I didn't have any connections at Capital FM. I saw an opportunity and I put myself forward for it. Each time you release your music to the world, every time you put out a piece of content, a tweet. In fact, I've got a cool story to drive this point home. I saw a tweet by Adventure Club last year and they asked who should they take on tour with them. I literally put one of those emojis, you know, the hands up one. And an hour later, I had an email in the inbox from their booking agent asking what dates were available to go with the boys on tour. So if this isn't proving my point by now, I don't know what will, but I'm going to give you one more example. It's no surprise, I'm a big Millennium fan. I'm possibly even a bigger Avril Lavigne fan. So when I saw that they dropped a song together, I just had to remix it. Bear in mind that I've never spoken to Millennium. I had no connections, so networking wasn't possible here. But mindset and putting yourself out there was definitely the route to go. I created 30 seconds of the remix, the build up and the drop. But how do I get him to hear this? I tried everything. I tried emailing people that I knew in the scene that might know him. I emailed his manager. I tagged him on Instagram, TikTok. Nothing worked. So then I put myself in his shoes. What would make me want to listen to someone's remix of my song? So then I downloaded a video of him playing live and I put my remix behind it. A little bit of psychology, you know, try and get him to imagine what it could sound like live. And then I tweeted him with that video and people started tagging him. Boom, he heard it. He followed, DM'd, we finished the remix. He included it in his live shows. He played it twice at 2 different trilogies with Avril Lavigne performing my remix the second time round, which might be the most insane thing that's ever happened yet. All of this because of one tweet. Now this led to us speaking to him via DMs, which then led to us opening for his Ministry of Sound show. And then the next time he came back to London, we got backstage with him, networking. So let me just overview this journey for you so that it all clicks into place. Every single big thing that has ever happened to Culture Code was due to those 3 lessons: networking, mindset, and putting yourself out there. Having great music is one thing, but if you don't get it heard, how will it ever break through the noise? So with that being said, if you don't release music in the first place, how will you ever be in a place where you can start networking and putting yourself out there? I really hope that this inspires at least one of you to take this seriously. I genuinely want this for you. It's going to take hard work, but I promise you it's worth it. I wake up every day and work on music and it is the best. So good luck guys, go network, go put yourselves out there and have the mindset to stick with it for the long run. Peace.